Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel where I discuss Qatar and things about the country in preparation for you coming down to the 2022 World Cup. Just got back from Turkey, got myself a nice new hat here, so I was quite pleased about that. Anyway, in this video, I'm going to give you some background about Qatar, just general information about it, so that you learn a bit more about the country. Now, I realize that most people really don't know much about Qatar, and when they think about the Middle East, they think more about places like Saudi Arabia or Dubai and just assume it's the same as that, although those are two different extremes. I mean, Saudi Arabia and Dubai are very different. If your only knowledge about the Middle East tends to be about Saudi Arabia, Qatar's not like that. If your only knowledge is of places like Dubai, Qatar's not really like that either. But just by way of background, I mean, Qatar's not a very big country. It's roughly about 200 kilometers lengthwise and maybe 90 kilometers at its widest, with east to west. And the main city, Doha, where pretty much everyone lives, is in the middle of the country along the eastern coast. And this means that pretty much everywhere in Qatar is within 100 kilometers of Doha, which will be great for the World Cup because all the stadiums are fairly close to each other. In fact, the largest distance between two stadiums is 70 kilometers. So they are all within 70 kilometers of each other. And I think this will be unique for the World Cup. You will be able to see more than one match a day if you want to. You can just, from one stadium, get on public transit or the metro, get to another stadium, hopefully in time to watch the next game. I hope that they put enough of a gap between the games to give people a chance to go to another stadium to see it. 2 hours is probably not long enough. It'll need to be at least 3. But hey, maybe you can see a morning game and then go see an evening game. I don't know. So Doha is the main city, but there are a few other cities. In the north, there's a city called Al Khor. In the south, there's 2 cities called Wakra and Mesaid. And over on the west coast is a city called Dukhan. I think none of these cities are larger than about 60,000 people. Doha has about 2 million. In fact, it's getting to the point where cities like Wakra are nearly touching Doha, and Al Khor is like a 20-minute drive away. So as for where you'll be flying into, it's going to be Doha. There is only one public airport, but that's okay because it's also right smack in the middle of where all the stadiums are and things like that. Hopefully, wherever it is you're going to be staying isn't too far away. Try to stay in Doha if you can, or maybe Wakra if that's where your games are. There's one stadium in Wakra. If you stay there, then the stadium would be quite close. But if you're living anywhere in Doha with access to the metro or public transit, you will have no problem getting to any of the stadiums. I recall seeing online some people kind of asking, hey, plane tickets are expensive. Maybe we could fly into some other city and then get to Doha that way. And no, that's not really going to be an option. The nearest main airports for international flights, you are looking at going to Riyadh in Saudi Arabia or to Abu Dhabi in the UAE. Now, Qatar only has one land border, and it's with Saudi Arabia. So first you need to get the visas to get into Saudi Arabia. From Riyadh, you're looking at probably about a 7-hour drive. You're probably looking at a similar amount for Abu Dhabi. But for Abu Dhabi, not only are you going into the UAE, you then have to cross into Saudi Arabia and then cross into Qatar. It's just going to be a hassle. So unless you live in the Gulf countries, like if you live in Kuwait or Saudi or the UAE, then yeah, maybe driving will work. But otherwise, no, you're just going to have to fly in. Now, you don't necessarily have to fly direct on Qatar Airways, although I recommend it. It's a very good airline. You could transit through other cities and then get to Qatar from there. So you could take, say, Kuwait Airways and transit in Kuwait City, or you could take Emirates Airlines and transit through Dubai, and so forth. So, if you're finding the tickets to be pretty expensive, you could try that as an option. Maybe that would be cheaper. I don't know. Now, while Qatar is a small country, it actually has a fair amount of people for its size. It's at about 2.8 million right now, though almost everyone lives in Doha. So, it's essentially a big city with a couple of smaller cities around, and then, the wilderness, as we say. Now, many people, when they think about the Middle East, they just think it's all going to be deserts and sand, big sand hills everywhere. Not quite. Actually, Qatar's quite flat, and most of the country is pretty rocky. You don't find a lot in the way of sand dunes. It can get dusty, of course, but this, idea of huge sand dunes like the Sahara, most of the country is not like that. There is a small section of that in the south of the country, which you should definitely go visit if you have the opportunity when you come to visit. Seeing that desert is quite good, and you can book tours and stuff to go see it. But most of the country is not like that. I've joked with people that NASA could land the Mars rovers there and just take photographs, and you'd never know that it wasn't on Mars, because it just kind of looks like that. There's rocks everywhere, few scrubby plants you'd have to remove, but you could just put the Mars rovers on there, shoot some film, and go, hey, we're on Mars. Who knew? Languages. I'll probably do another video about this, but the main language is, of course, Arabic, but English is perfectly fine. Widely spoken, signs tend to be in both languages. You can get by on English. Having a little bit of Arabic can be helpful, sure, but English will work. Any other language, you're gonna struggle. As for money, Qatar does, of course, have its own money, the Qatari rial. It is pegged to the US dollar at about 3.65 rial to $1. And in the whole 15 years I've been here, that has never changed. So it does make things a bit easier in terms of converting money, especially from US dollars. I would recommend, if you can, bring US dollars to change into rial, because of its fixed rate. You will get a very good rate from the exchange places. I think they only take a tiny bit of commission. With any other currency, you're gonna get a bit more of a buy-sell spread, and so you'll probably lose out a bit. Do convert the money to rial. Many big shops will take US dollar, they'll take euro, they'll take other currency, but you will not get a good rate. And for many other places, smaller restaurants, small shops and things like that, they might not even take it. But rial, no problem. In terms of the price for things, well, I'll have to do a whole video on that. But bear in mind, Qatar is per capita one of the richest countries in the world, thanks to all the oil and gas that it has. And things can be quite expensive here. There is a wide discrepancy in terms of incomes between the wealthy and the poor. You can find, I suppose, what I would call reasonably priced food. The public transport is quite cheap. Gas is quite cheap compared to most of the rest of the world. But, don't expect that you're going to be able to come here and live on, $1 or $2 a day. That's not going to happen. You do need to be prepared for the fact that many things are quite expensive. So I'll do a video where I discuss the prices of things. It can vary a lot by neighborhood, fancy neighborhoods, everything costs more, and maybe give some tips on where you could get, cheaper options for some things, and see how it goes from there. But do not expect that Qatar is going to be incredibly cheap. Think more like mid-level European price for things. Now, Qatar is an Islamic country, but actually, because of all the foreigners and expats that live here, there is a large population that are not Muslims. That said, the country is still fairly conservative, and I know this was a concern when they had bid for the FIFA thing, when people were like, oh, but are they going to allow alcohol and all this stuff? Alcohol is allowed in the country. It always was. The whole time I've been here, there have been bars, there is one liquor store, but it is a lot more restricted. You will not find just corner pubs everywhere. You will not find alcohol in grocery stores and things like that. Qatar is more family friendly. When it comes to things like entertainment, the parks, whenever they have events, it always seems to be in with the mindset of, families can come to this. So it will be fine to bring your kids to Qatar. You're not going to find a lot of bars. The nightlife, there are a few nightclubs, but they're, I think, limited to hotels. And again, there aren't many, so there isn't going to be what I would call a big nightlife. And even when it comes to things that Qatar will probably organize for the World Cup and, events in the evenings and stuff, those two will be more family friendly, anyone can go to them kind of things. Not something a little more, I don't know what you would call PG or R. So it should be fine to bring kids. I think there'll be plenty to do, and I think they'll have a pretty good time. It is a nice place for families. I know that there are going to be people who are going to be asking, well, what can or can't we wear in this country? Again, thinking back to probably Saudi Arabia with, women completely covered and wearing veils, and Arab men wearing these very long, what are called thobes, a very white robe type things. People will probably wonder, well, what can we wear? Can ladies show their hair? What about t-shirts and so on and so forth? Like I said, the country is a bit conservative. However, ladies do not have to cover their hair. You can wear Western clothes. I can go out looking like this without any problem. But I'll do a video where I discuss what would and wouldn't be appropriate in Qatar, at least my view of what would and wouldn't be appropriate, so you can get an idea. I know there's going to be issues with, people are all going to come, and they're going to come from South America and Europe and all that, and they're going to be, wanting to run around shirtless or in bikinis and so forth. But I don't know to what extent that might be problematic. Anyway, I'll do a video where I discuss, clothing and etiquette and, what may or may not be appropriate when you arrive. I'm sure things will be a bit mellower for the World Cup because they know so many people will be coming from all over the world. And like I said, it's not Saudi Arabia. It's not that strict. But at the same time, you do want to respect the culture somewhat, right? Right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, of course you do. So I'll leave it there for now. I'll be doing more videos where I get into, other topics, and we'll get more specific about things like nightlife and food and clothing and all of this stuff. But with any luck, this will give you at least a bit of a base for what you can expect when you arrive. Hope it helped. If you have any questions, just leave a comment below and I'll try to get to it. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.